So the economy is forefront right now with the elections and each party's policies. And I think some of that's just missing more of the on the ground situation we're faced with as capitalism has evolved. And so having a background in economics, I want to show you some very specific examples of things that I see are wrong with capitalism and our economy, and how it's making everyone's quality of life worse off, and it's leading to these inequalities, to this environmental degradation. And maybe in the future I'll do a video on what's right with the economy, but I think right now we better focus on what's wrong. So I'm going to run through a series of slides, and we'll go through it point by point and maybe give you a better understanding too of some of these big inefficiencies we're faced with, and ideas on how to correct these problems. So to begin with, the economy is guided by the allocation of labor, capital, and resources. So if you have capital, if you have money, you can purchase labor. You can hire someone to do something, or you can buy land or resources. So an important point is that each person's life is more or less worth around $1 million, maybe $2 million. That's your lifetime work's monetary value. So in essence, you can hire someone to work their entire life for between $1 and $2 million. That's what each person's lifetime labor is worth. So that's a really solid number to keep in mind, between 1 and 2 million per lifetime of work. So let's look at one example of the allocation of labor, resources, and capital. So Mark Zuckerberg, for example, took $300 million to hire labor to build him a super yacht. Now, that's the equivalent of between 150 and 300 people's lifetime work. So 300 people would have whatever they used their hands to do and time. It would have taken them 300 people's entire lives to make this ship. That's the amount of labor that went into this ship. So all of the components to it, assembling it, all of that required between 150 and 300 people's entire lifetime's effort. Now, that labor and resource could have gone to anything else. I mean, 150 people's lifetimes worth of work could have built a lot of homes, could have farmed a lot of land, but instead it went to making one man a super expensive yacht that's going to require $20 million a year in fuel and upkeep and additional resources. So it's a grand misallocation of capital. But that's how capitalism works. It puts someone in control of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people's lifetimes of labor, and says, hey, do what you want with it. So, even though we have millions of children who are starving and living in slums, Mark Zuckerberg didn't think about, hey, maybe I should build them some homes. No, I'm going to build myself a gigantic yacht. And that's what we see a lot of these tech bros doing. OpenAI's CEO, Sam Altman. Hey, he gets tons of money. What does he do with it? He buys a crappy, huge mansion. They buy giant yachts. They buy massive, expensive private jets. They're not using this capital to make the world better. They're wasting it on themselves and on luxuries. Like the pharaohs of old, building giant pyramids for themselves. So let's look at another example. In the UK, there's a shortage of 47,000 nurses. So let's see how capitalism is addressing this problem. Well, instead of training and hiring nurses, the economy is directing its resources to building a theme park. And this theme park is going to require tens of thousands of workers. So we're going to dress them up in costumes and cater to rich tourists. So instead of using the labor and resources to build hospitals and hire nurses, things that we need, instead we're putting it toward these luxuries we don't need. So we end up with a shortage of nurses, but plenty of theme park workers. So let's look at another questionable allocation of labor, capital, and resources. We have Elon Musk. He's going to spend tens of billions of dollars building these starships to go to Mars. Now, lots of people have to work on this, and it requires a lot of material. I mean, steel mills have to manufacture this. There has to be miners dig it out of the ground, refine it. I mean, it's thousands and thousands of people. Their work goes into this. Now, this is some whim of some billionaire to build these things, and what is he doing with them? He's blowing them up. Now, do we really need to get to Mars on starships? Not so much. Are there things we need here now to help humanity, housing and food? Yes. But again, this billionaire is taking it upon himself to direct this labor and resource to his vanity mission. So let's look at another one of my favorite wastes of resources, cruise ships. We now have about 600 of these behemoths guzzling dirty fuel oil around the clock. Tens of thousands of workers on these ships catering to tourists. Now, these ships don't produce anything other than garbage and pollution. They don't make the food we eat. They don't provide, construction and housing. They're not doctors, nurses. No, this is purely for luxury, and it's things we don't need at this point in time. So we have to have these giant steel mills around the clock producing and building these things, giant shipyards, so tens of thousands of laborers building these things who are direly needed in essential services. So again, we're directing laborers to do things that we really don't need, they're really destroying the planet. We're creating whole industries around it, and the politicians tell you, hey, this is great for the economy. No, it's really not. We need these workers and resources to go to hospitals, schools, and housing, not to giant fuel-guzzling ships. And tourism in general, this seems to be where our economy is going. And tourism, politicians love to promote it. It just brings in cash. But if you look at what tourism is, people hop on these planes. You have to have these giant airports. It just guzzles fuel. They hop on these cruise ships. It guzzles fuel. They hopping around the world from place to place. They're not contributing to the betterment of society. They're just consuming resources like locusts, and we say that's a good thing. Here we have 1.8 million working in the tourism industry, 1.5 in manufacturing, 1.2 in construction. We have more people catering to people's whims for travel than we do actually contributing to essential services. So these are laborers, these are workers who should be working in the real economy, but they're not. They're just catering to this 1% who want to waste huge amounts of capital guzzling fuel on these luxury ships and luxury aircraft just for their entertainment. And this is pervasive throughout our economy. We celebrate these celebrities, but they're spending hundreds of millions and overall billions of dollars on these private jets that are guzzling fuel and resources. I mean, a $200-300 million private jet, again, it takes the lifetime work of hundreds of people to assemble these craft for just one person and their friend's little luxury. This is what's causing problems in our economy, is the amount of labor and resources that are going to build these yachts and jets for just a handful of people. And if you want to throw money and resources in a fire and burn it to ashes, that's war. We have to have factories and laborers and workers and mines focused all on building these military equipment and these bombs. These bombs that literally cost sometimes millions of dollars to go and blow up buildings. It's is the biggest waste in our entire economy. Is the hundreds of millions and billions of dollars that are going to weapons to destroy infrastructure. It's the ultimate failure of our political system. And it's not just the celebrities and the politicians misallocating resources, it's us as well. I mean, who hasn't played all of these video game systems throughout the years? And this takes a lot of factories, a lot of energy, and it creates a lot of waste and pollution. And it's really just for entertainment. And that's the astounding part of our economy, is how much labor and resources are going just for entertainment. Things we don't need, but they're destroying our environment and guzzling all these resources.